Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here to express my individual viewpoint on the terminology that you are mentioning, that is Indo-Pacific. I also learned a lot from panelists here, especially from Ambassador Muni and from the Vice Admiral Viet. Thank you very much for giving me too much knowledge on this. I'm coming with the origins. I now just learned one information about the 1941 the Indo-Pacific terminology used, but only after that quite long in 2010, I think official use by a official. That is in her remarks in Honolulu, Hawaii in 2010. She mentioned of this. And before that, we also have knowledge on the Australia 2 Ocean Navy posture in 1987 in white paper. And then, you know, in India knows very well that in 2007 when Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, he gave a speech at the parliament. So he also mentioned of the confluence of the two seas, he means of Indian and Pacific Oceans. And again in 2011 in his paper on syndicates project, he also mentioned of this, but that is a security diamond. He mentioned of the partners like US, Japan, India, and Australia can shape this diamond, that is Indo-Pacific, but only after the Clinton used this terminology. So a lot of not only in think tank but also in you know, policymakers also use this term. And come to India, I you know, have literature on the remarks document delivered by your leaders, as well as from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of External Affairs of India, especially Your Excellency Sanjay Singh for your address at the ASEAN Relation Conference for last year. Yes, I learned a lot from that. So coming to interview point, it is actually you in your think tank, so you have two kind of approach it. The first is a proponent and other is opponent. Actually, in any country, if some idea occurs, so there will be some different viewpoint there. And from official viewpoint, I think that India has a very conscious approach. That only in 2000, I think in March 2012. For the first time, Indian officials used this terminology, that is Indo-Pacific. And after that, in your speech in Asia Relations Conference for there, so we learned a lot from India viewpoint of this concept, Indo-Pacific. In fact, in the, you know, different from Japan's point, that Japan doesn't want to see the China's in its idea of Indo-Pacific. But actually, Australia also want to see China, and you want, as mentioned by panelists here, he's mentioning of the importance of China is really important. And what about the viewpoint about the Indo-Pacific? From my knowledge, I think that India wants to see Indo-Pacific as a plural, inclusive, and open security architecture. But it should be in line with India's tradition and counter thought. That is relativistic, idea-driven, and omnidirectional. That is, I think that there have been no structure for the Indo-Pacific Charter that both from the U.S. perception as well as Japan and Australia. So from your viewpoint, so I point here three main points. The first, then what about India's priority in the Indo-Pacific terminology? That is, maritime security is first and foremost. It's a collection of affirmation of principles of freedom of navigation, unimpeded commerce, and peaceful settlement of maritime dispute in accordance with international law. And just second point, in the seas, forums and cooperation, existing forum and cooperation in its scopes of looks its policy remain the key one of its Indo-Pacific concept. That is IORC, ASEAN +1, EIS, ARF, ADMM+, ASEAN Expanded Maritime Forum, Indian Ocean Andaman Symposium. That it means that India doesn't want to see, another larger scope. I mean that from the official viewpoint, that you are not ready for the TTP, and you are now going with the negotiations in the term of ASEP can reflect it. And based on this, I really want to propose one thing in the ASEAN in the partnership in this context. That is your priority as well as ASEAN's country priority maybe. Also the maritime security. It is really clear from Japanese side as well as US and Australia also. So I think that it is the time for us to have a look at the Indo-Pacific Code of Conduct. That's, I think that is not only Code of Conduct in IDSA as my at the plenary section as mentioned my Deputy Minister, but also Indo-Pacific Code of Conduct. That I mean that in the maritime domain. Thank you very much for your kind attention.